Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown and another edition of In the Film Room. As you may remember, friend of the program, Spencer Dinwiddie had come on last year and done this for us, and the pride of Taft High School in the Valley, San Fernando Valley, Spencer Dinwiddie, thank you for joining us. Brooklyn Nets guard, you had a nice game the other night.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be on this, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to do this again.
Awesome. Well, we should get right into it because this is such a cool thing for me to do when talking with the players directly about what they did on the court, and especially when it's a big game for you and it led to a win and a highlight for the season against the Bulls, who, by the way, were they are gunning for a playoff spot. They were playing as hard as they could, right?
Exactly. So that's one of the things that's fun. Us kind of being spoilers and getting to play a team fighting for their playoffs live. So that's our little bit of playoff basketball that we get to experience since obviously we're not going to make it.
Right. Well, that's great. And it's also a good building blocks to play in those situations. And, let's jump right into it because in the first quarter, you're getting your normal run off the bench and we get into a fast break situation. And, you want to walk us through what happens here off the offensive rebound and how you ended up getting your shot?
This one was just really kind of easy. I was trailing the play and I could have walked into a three here. Looks like the pass probably a little bit low. So, I guess just on the run, I just kind of decided, with the lane being that wide open to attack it. Bobby stepped up. He had me pretty square, so there wasn't much of an angle to try to, get into the paint and really elevate. So, in that split second, you just kind of slow up and ease into a floater. Obviously, it wasn't like DeAndre Jordan, so I didn't have to, do too much adjusting. So
now, off 1 foot or off 2 feet, do you kind of use both, or which one do you prefer?
I kind of use both. I actually like jumping off my right leg a lot, so I'll actually shoot a right leg, right hand floater some of the time. But yeah, no, that one, it was just kind of a really kind of just rhythm type thing. I think if there was more contact with somebody beside me, I might have shot it off two.
Let's move on to our next assist that you got, which is a nice one, where, you're reading the defense here, you're coming down, getting into a set. What was the initial action here that you were going to try and get before you drove to the basket?
Well, it was two wide pin downs for KJ. And just what kind of happened is I saw the defenders with their head turned, and Denzel kind of steps up a little bit right here to play. And when he kind of makes his stand up near the half-court circle, I decided to kind of attack because there was no help. Everybody had their heads turned, their back turned. And then when I get into the lane and in an area to get a layup, Bobby helps up and able to find Book. So.
Yeah. Now, so when you're driving to the basket and your head is up, I feel like we always encourage players to have their head up, but it's never that specific about what are you supposed to be looking at? And I would imagine your answer would be, I'm watching the defenders, right?
Yeah. So that's the thing. All the time when I drive, my main focus is the forward defenders besides my man. Because I kind of feel like every time, and not in an arrogance or a cocky way, right? But every time you can beat your guy, right? So what's coming next is the main thing. If I go left, what's going to come next? Where do I think this guy's going to come from? If I go right, where do I think this guy's going to come from? So, on the attack, with both their heads turned, it's okay, I think I can get a layup, right? Mm-hmm. And then as soon as they shift over, that their man is more than likely going to be the one that's open. And here, even if Joffrey Laverne anticipates all this, right, and he sinks down and takes Book, if Jimmy's hung up on Quincy, I can dump it back to KJ down the middle for a dunk. If Jimmy's with KJ, then I can throw it to Quincy for the three. So as long as you can beat your guy and create that massive help, not like baby help where they kind of can put an arm out or whatever, but massive help where people have to make whole shifts, then you can get the ball moving and hopefully get an easy jumper or easy basket.
The next play we have is at the end of the quarter where you're going to take time to take the last shot or try and time it as close as you can. And you're being guarded by Michael Carter-Williams. What were you thinking on this one as everyone's the defense is set up for you right in front of you? How did you realize that this was going to open up like the Red Sea?
The thing that makes it tough about end of quarter pick and rolls, what a lot of teams are trying to do now, is especially if you wait until under 8 and you're 7, 6, 5, they try to switch it. You know what I'm saying? And get you into a rushed ISO or a deep 3 situation. And so if I can get under 10, you know what I mean? Then I can start thinking about trying to go. And because usually the guard is they're engaged, but they're also waiting for what's coming next. They're waiting for an action, because very rarely does a backup point guard just ISO you at the top of the key, you know what I mean, or up near half court. So that little bit of kind of calm or relaxation, waiting for the pick and roll, waiting for the call or whatever, because they're usually not expecting that. I tend to like to kind of go, and then usually it's the same thing as basically the last play. You're waiting for whatever kind of massive help you can try to cause, and here Bobby helps over. Obviously, Book is behind me, so there's not really much of an option. But he slides so far over to the right that I kind of just sidestep and get a layup. So.
Yeah. Now, and I like how you went high off the glass just to make sure, right? That's the thing is, it doesn't. It's almost like when you're a relief pitcher and you come in and you're always out of the stretch, no matter what. You never like wind up. It seems like this. Yeah. You're always going to try and lay that up high off the glass, no matter what, just because that's this. You never know if that guy's going to get it, 10 feet in the air, right?
Exactly. And obviously, Bobby is 6'11". He's athletic, so just in case he does read my mini Euro correctly and can kind of get up there, you have to take precaution.
Yeah, what I like about how you said mini Euro is that it's almost because the last step you take is a normal size step. It's the first one of the 1-2 that you actually extend. And yeah. I'm kind of curious, when you're doing this and working on this, are you just working on extending the first one and then the short second one, and then maybe the next time it's a short first one and longer second?
Yeah, so you work a lot of different types of footwork when you're in the summer and things like that. And so you just kind of figure out what works for you and for your body. So here, when I'm coming down the lane and I see Bobby coming and he's so far over to the right, I'm thinking about getting back across his body, and with that long left step and then kind of shorter right step, I feel like I can also beat him to the rim.
Right.
Because sometimes if you take the full Euro and the guy hasn't completely committed to it, he can kind of catch back up to your shot.
Right. And by the way, if you did a longer right step, you would have been under the basket, and then I don't think you could finish that. And the other, my favorite, it's an off-foot layup, which again I think when you I guess there is every combination of Euro and right foot, right hand, or left foot, right hand finish. Right, you have to kind of cover the entire gamut.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like we kind of talked about before, I think we even started recording. I like to jump off my right leg a lot. So especially coming off my right leg, I have a lot of the lefty floaters, right floaters, left finish, same hand finish, all that. So, and that's something that I practice in the summer and with the coaches, with this coaching staff specifically, and it seems to be working.
Let's move on to our the next play here, which is a nice little simple fast break off of a turnover. I have to imagine live turnovers are always the favorites of everyone because you can get down there. Talk to me about how you read this play and what made you decide to pitch it over to Lynn on the left wing.
Well, really, Jeremy Lin's also one of our better three-point shooters. So you just kind of try to give him as good a pass as possible, let him rhythm into either a three or kind of give a little fake and be able to drop it off to Archie for the corner three.
Absolutely. And I do want to stress that point because I made a point on Twitter a few weeks ago and people kind of yelled at me. But the notion of a nice, simple pass right to the pocket is huge. I mean, it's anecdotal, but I imagine that your three-point percentage goes down 5, 6, 8 points on a bad pass you have to reach, wouldn't you say?
Well, definitely. And I mean, I think everybody in the NBA, right, they practice getting bad passes, right, maybe 5 or 10% of the time. That means the other 90 or 95% of the time that you're working out or you're doing this or that, you're receiving pretty solid passes. So that's just what you're comfortable with. And anytime, you break rhythm, however little bit of rhythm that you can break, your percentage is most definitely going to go down.
For sure. So great point. Thank you for making that, and also thank you for throwing that nice pass. I'm sure Jeremy Lin, I hope thank you as well for that one. A little bit later in the game, in the third quarter, and we get a pick and roll on top, and I hear this is a really exciting play for me as well. You get an and one. So tell us how you read this play and how this was this exactly how it's supposed to unfurl off of the baseline out of bounds?
Just getting it in. I catch it. Book comes set the pick and roll. Bobby calls out basically their ice or push or whatever defense you want to call it, just trying to keep it on the sideline. It looks like that's Jarian, I think, and he doesn't keep me on the sideline, so I try to attack middle because when you can do that against that type of defense, it kind of breaks everything down. So as I turn the corner, I have KJ, but Zip also really just kind of gives arm help, so I'm looking at the rim. And I should have dumped my guy Robin, but Okay, nice.
Yeah, well, he got in your way, so I could hear you. But here's the other thing: is you notice what you did here, off the right foot, right hand finish,
Yeah,
and it's not a 1-2; it's off the one, and I think that
yeah,
was the key. Whereas you got there much quicker than Robin was expecting. That's another one of those things I really want to stress to everybody. We talked about earlier is you have to be able to. You have such different, versions of footwork to finish.
oh, for sure.
This one, I imagine you also. So you practice Euros, and you practice the off foot Euro and
Yeah.
the normal foot. But then you must be practicing on the one without doing a 1-2 to finish.
Oh yeah. Practice, like I said, all different types of footwork, all different types of layups.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really exciting to watch. Like all the concepts that we talk about all the time. When you get to see them in action and they work, it's really exciting to see, and a great finish on a lot of contact. So really good stuff here. A little bit later in the third, you come down on the break, and you're going to get a. This is. Synergy would count this as a pick and roll, even though there really isn't. It kind of gets out of there before you do it. But here, talk about how you drag everyone down and then end up getting this assist.
By the time he's getting ready to jump, I'm already in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, if he jumps, he probably either pushes me out of the air or pushes me up even higher. So, he was kind of putting into a bind just because of obviously getting to the middle on a pick and roll and just the quickness of that type of footwork. So this one, once again, is kind of the same type of concept with the same like ice push, whatever defense you want to call it, keeping it on the sideline. So when Jimmy starts to feel obviously Booker coming, and Bobby's a little late, you just attack the open side, because once his footwork changes, you just you want to create help. Like I said, that massive help is what you're always trying to create as a guard. You want everybody shifting, everybody moving.
Let's move on to the fourth quarter as you get your run to begin the fourth quarter. And, you're down 7, so this is a game where, it's hanging in the balance at this point. We get into my favorite thing, horns, pretty much, aside from the triangle. Although it's very triangle-ish. I don't know if you know that, but this notion of the cutoff of the elbow is a pinch post action. And then you come off here. So describe the action you're getting from the corner and how you end up getting the score.
So basically, it's a double pin down essentially. Michael Carter-Williams can drop into basically my lap on the curl. So as I come off, just looking to turn the corner, Chris is in good position. So I try to freeze him, looking at Book's in the mid-range, and then Chris kind of drops back. So I re-attack and get down one, basically.
Yeah. Okay, a couple different things that are really going on that I love, which is, first of all, on the handoff, which hand are you dribbling with?
I drop it out in front of me with my left hand.
Yes. Now, I would never have taught that years ago as we're doing our dribble handoff fundamentals. But that's not what the new fundamental is. Can you give us an insight into why your inside hand is the one that's dribbling the ball?
I feel like it allows you to turn the corner. When you kind of take that plant, as obviously if the defender's there, you can't do it. But, it just allows you to turn the corner more sharply. And once again, that draws Chris in even more because if I'm taking that dribble with my right and I'm kind of bananaing, then maybe he can kind of flatten me out. Denzel can get back a little bit. But just the threat of being able to turn it sharply draws him completely in.
Yeah.
He completely engages.
I also feel like if you get it out in front of you like that with your inside left hand, then Valentine can't shoot the gap in between you and get in there.
Yeah.
And you kind of like close the gate. It's a new fundamental that everyone I've seen does now, and I will now start teaching that. So it's a great moment. Now, the other thing I really like is how you open up and you split your feet and then go. That is a very explosive move. Is that the kind of thing that you practice a lot of? You lift both feet and swivel and then go?
Yeah, I mean that's just kind of something that for me kind of happens naturally when I do that type of move. Because so initially on this pullback, this retreat, if Booker had popped to 3 on this, I probably would have just passed it to him for the 3. But because there's still like a little bit of indecision there, I'm waiting. I just pop back, and then when I see Chris take his step back, I'm like, okay, I can get to the rim now. Because once again, strong side corner's not coming. But now when Chris steps back, I can get to his left hip. And so I feel like obviously I can get this shot off.
All right, so then we're deep into the fourth quarter here. And it's now all of a sudden a tight game. I'm assuming the crowd's into it at this point, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they're going nuts. So walk us through this play. It's a post up to Lopez, and talk to me about how this unfolded for you.
So basically, this is just one of our classic post-ups for, like you said, for Brooke. So I loop to the top. I'm waiting. I'm reading D Wade here. D Wade's looking like real heavy at Brooke, which means he wants to go. Jarian was in the lane, which means obviously they're trying to send basically massive help. They don't want him to score. So, I basically have two options. When D Wade goes, I can either slash back door and try to take Jarian with me and have Lynn come over and for the three, for the fine. But I don't know. I just kind of felt like I knew D Wade was going to go. I was just waiting for him to go, and as soon as, he kind of commits, I pull over. And he doesn't really come back. So there's no other real play to make here. If I drive it, I drive back in to help. Jeremy's not behind the three or open, really. Jimmy can play two with their spacing. So it's just kind of, have confidence in the shot and just knock it down.
Yeah, and let's tell everybody what footwork you used to make this shot.
All right, so on this shot, pulling over from going to my left, I used a hop. You know what I mean? BBallBreakdown classic. It just felt like it gives you good rhythm, honestly.
Yeah, it's funny because I talked to a lot of NBA shooters, and they were like, well, the 1-2, I like it's more rhythm. But I got to tell you, when I watch guys shoot it like this, that rhythm looks better than anything I've seen. Hey, if you're wide open, you can check the wind before you shoot. It's fine. Go ahead. And I honestly, Dwayne Wade makes a really big mistake. We talked about helping one pass away, even off the corner, but this is like disrespect. And I'm really you. I don't know if you said anything to Wade, but I would have been like, do that again, please.
Nah, I didn't say anything to him. He's future Hall of Fame. And I played with him, got great respect for him. But I'm happy that he did it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, it cost them dearly. So we're at the end of the game here, and it's tied. And so look at this. You're running the show, right? Now the crowd's up. I think everyone's out of their seats now, waiting for this. And what call do they run here? Tie game, 17 seconds to go.
So funny thing is, this wasn't for me. Obviously, Jimmy hits a big shot. He ties the game up, and we're trying to inbound to Lynn. Obviously, I'm another point guard on the floor, so if he's getting denied, I come back and get it. Still was kind of trying to get it to him, but Jaren was kind of denying him the whole way up the floor. So we go on the horns, and so we get into it. Brooks sets the screen, come off. Just kind of hesitate, still try to draw everybody down because right now I'm thinking about pretty much throwing it back to Brooke. That's all I'm really thinking about here. And as soon as I get it to throw it, I got hit on the arm. So
for sure,
because right here, if I throw it quickly, maybe Nico helps, maybe D Wade helps. So that's kind of why you have the hesitation. But as soon as I take that extra dribble and Robin recommits, now look how much space Brooke has. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so all I have to do now is just get it back to him.
So what? And that's a two-handed overhand pass in the air, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'd have threw it back like that.
Yeah, which got to be that might be the hardest pass you need to make out here in an offense, right? Twisting in the air,
probably that one or the left-handed hook to the corner from the slot. Like if you're driving left and you hook it just with your left hand off the dribble. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Probably those two passes are probably the two toughest ones.
Sure, and we see like Steph used to make that pass a lot. I don't know if I see him do it as much, but now that left-handed hook, are you working on that all the time to try and get that better?
Yeah, it's something I work on with the coaches for sure.
Yeah. Now the right-handed hook obviously must be a much easier pass.
Yeah. No, I feel like I could throw like a right-handed pass just about anywhere, any facet, but it's a little bit tougher obviously with the left.
For sure. Well, and then we finished the game with, up by 2. They get a stop here on the Jimmy Butler 3. I'm not gonna get too upset about this, but the box out wasn't quite there for you.
I know.
But what's going on here? How did that work out for you?
I guess on this one you just kind of gotta take your blessings where you get them, and thank God that he didn't miss this any other way because. I got caught ball watching for sure. And by the time I felt D Wade, he was already had position. So, he jumped early. That's basically all that it is to it.
Okay.
He got me. So he jumps early though, and the ball bounces high. And so, when you miss time your jump, sometimes it's unfortunate. And so I was able to get it.
Good. Well, you know what this is good about? Because I'm sure Coach Atkinson might even he might have you turn around and he might kick you in the butt for that one. But that I think it's safe to say that in the future, in that situation, you're going to find your man and box him out, right?
Oh yeah. You got to. You got to for sure.
Yeah, it's so I as a coach for me, I'm like, that's, you know what, like, thank God it didn't hurt you, and it's a great way to, like, you know, maybe for the rest of your career, you're going to always have that in your mind, and it's going to be a playoff game next time, and you're going to grab that board and not let him get another shot. By the way, in your defense, Tippin doesn't do anything, so it wouldn't have been terrible, but still. Great. I mean, listen, great stuff. It's been really exciting to watch you, solidify your role in Brooklyn. Just give us a quick insight into what's going on with you and the Nets. I mean, going into next season.
As of right now, I mean, I have 2 team options left on my deal. So, I mean, it looks like I'll be here. Who knows? You never know in this business how anything can happen or how it will all shake out. But I've loved my time here, and I look forward to hopefully being here for a long time. The organization is great. The staff is great. And I'm hoping we can turn this thing around and position to make the playoffs next year. That'd be nice.
Sure, for sure. And remember, none of this hope stuff. You will. Now, it doesn't have to be like we will make the playoffs, but you will play better.
Yeah.
Right? We will be ranked higher in the offensive rating, that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
No question. And what's your thing you're going to work on the most this summer?
I think continuing working on my 3-point shooting for sure. That's been a focus. I mean, obviously it didn't show in percentages my first 2 years, but hopefully increasing my attempts and continuing to shoot a high 30s, low 40s, or whatever percentage. Just continue to increase in that area. Continue. I think to apply defensive pressure as well is something I want to continue to do. And then also, we talked about obviously some of the minor things like shooting from catching the ball from your right when you're shooting and things like that. I look forward to diving deeper into that and really just fixing some of the nuances, that may not always be prevalent.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm telling you, off the dribble threes, that's going to be the thing I want to see you do more of next year. And I think that's going to open up the game for you a whole lot because I love that split foot and go. And if you have that threat of, to pull from there, we've seen, some of these guys like Lillard and Steph,
Oh, yeah.
The world is their oyster when they do that. So anyway, I can't wait to see how that progresses for you next year. It's a long way. Sports fans, you might not know that I coached against Spencer in high school, and they did a couple numbers on us when we played him. You had some help, though. You had a little help on your team.
Yeah.
If it was just you, maybe we would have had a chance. But but either way,
we had a good team.
It was a good team. It was a pleasure to watch you through college and the pros. So I can't thank you enough for coming on, and thank you for having that great game and helping the Nets win that against the Bulls and maybe spoiling their season.
Maybe.
Yeah, right. So we'll check on you. We'll check with you, later on as we progress through the summer until the next year, and we'll have to come back on again.
Definitely. Thank you, man. I always enjoy being on here.
Hey, and don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You win. You win, Spencer?
Always.